On August 23, 2014, citizens of Sierra Vista, Arizona formed together to have a candidate sign wave at Veterans Memorial Park. Lots of great people showed up, as well as some of the candidates that are running for office. Those candidates include Chuck Wooten for Congress, Frank Riggs for Governor, Tom Crosby for Sierra Vista Mayor, Craig Mount for City Council, and some others dropped by as well. One of the candidates that we caught up with at the event was Craig Mount, candidate for Sierra Vista City Council. We asked Craig Mount to tell us his position on the Redflex cameras that are in the city.
When I started going door to door, and I knocked on more doors than any other candidate and got more signatures than any other candidate, after about 700 people saying, "What are you going to do about the cameras?" I started doing my research. And the research that I came back was that they need to go. That was the ultimate conclusion. But the research showed that there were a number of organizations that were against them. It was the NAACP, the AARP, various political groups on both sides of the spectrum. It also came back that the company that we had a contract with was under investigation for corruption. Specifically, the person who even signed us up is facing about 9 counts of felony indictment for corruption. So for me, the cameras need to go. There's a variety of reasons. A lot of them are constitutional. I believe that there's also an economic portion here where you have about $2 million that is projected to leave the city. So I think for all of these reasons, these cameras probably need to go away.
Next, we asked Craig how he feels about the water shortage.
I was endorsed by the Sierra Vista Herald, which I think is probably one of the first times that somebody who's fiscally conservative has ever been endorsed by the Herald, and they did say that I kind of was dismissive on the water issue, and I don't believe that's the case. What I am on the record of saying is that we live in the desert. We should be mindful and conservative of the way that we use water. But the challenges with the water issue is that there's about 30 years of legal wrangling going on between the developers, the housing developers, and then also environmental extremists. And they've got everything all kind of locked up. So what I'm waiting for is to find out what's the definitive proof. I don't like to make a rash decision. I like to make a decision based off all the facts available. And right now everybody shows up with their own scientists and their own lawyers, and they just continue to block each other in court. I think that the water issue is something that's severely impacting us from an economic standpoint. It's a threat to the fort if we don't find some sort of resolution. And I would be very interested as more data came out to pick the right choice as opposed to just picking a choice for some sort of ideological purpose.
Finally, we asked Craig Mount what was his position on King's Court.
It was essentially given to the city for $1 or basically a donation, and that made a very small but vocal and happy group of people satisfied that they got to use the courts. But the building itself needs a lot of work. It would cost too much money to bring it up to code. I don't want to burden the taxpayers with that. Ultimately, I'm going to vote to give the council the option to sell it. However, what I believe is that our economic environment here in Sierra Vista is not conducive to sell this thing at the value that it probably could be worth. So I think probably the best thing to come out of this is we'll probably be able to keep those 6 courts that are there, demolish the building, put up something that's very easy to maintain, such as a park, a dog park, something along those lines. But the option to sell should be there until that kind of plays out. So I think King's Court should be sold. I think the lesson is that the city shouldn't get in the real estate business. It should stay out of it and let the market determine what happens to this thing, and that includes being sold or going up for bankruptcy. And vote for me on August 26th. Thank you.
Overall, the sign-waving event was a success. A great lineup of candidates with lots of great people. Remember, August 26th is the primary election in Arizona. Please make it a point to get out and vote. And when you do, remember these candidates.